Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be discussing some basic terminology for JavaScript and also some basic information that I think that you should be aware of. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, make sure to hit that ring bell. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, everybody, so to start today's episode, I just want to let you know that we are not going to be using W3 schools. I'm going to be discussing a couple of topics, so I'm not going to be coding anything today in Visual Studio Code either. What I am going to be doing in this episode is sharing and actually clearing some doubts for beginners, okay? I'm going to go from what is a programming language, and I am going to go all the way to who was the person that created JavaScript. I am going to explain the difference between Java and JavaScript, actually to clarify if they are the same thing. The other thing that I am going to do is explain you what ES6 is, or ECMAScript. And I am also going to be clarifying the doubts that if JavaScript is a client-side language or a server-side language. So all that is coming up in this video. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is what is a programming language, because I believe that most of you will probably have an idea of what a programming language is. Some of you will not. If you are an absolute beginner, you might think you know what a programming language is, but sometimes I've found people that have been using JavaScript for a long time and they actually do not know. So I'll simply give you my way of understanding a programming language. And in fact, if I go in the literal way, professor will say, well, a programming language is probably a formal language that is used to communicate instructions to a computer. That could probably be one of the answers that a professor will give you. Now, if I will say it in my way, I'll say a programming language is the way that you speak to the computer to make it do what specifically you want it to do. So I'll give you a quick example. To communicate with somebody that lives in Mexico, you will probably have to learn Spanish, right? Because if you speak English and they don't, they are not going to understand you. So to make them do something that you want them to do or express yourself with them, you will probably have to learn Spanish, right? So the programming language is the same thing. It's the programming language for you to communicate with the computer. And in specific with JavaScript is the way that you communicate to the web browser what you want it to do. So I hope that makes sense, but if you have questions, you can drop them in the section down below and I'll reply as soon as I can. Okay, so that clears up what is a programming language. Now, the second thing that I believe that you should know is who created JavaScript, right? Because that's one of the most, literally one of the most fundamental things when you're learning this language. So I'm going to go into this. JavaScript was actually created by a guy named Brendan Eich. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you can Google it up. His name is Brendan. There it is, Brendan Eich. Okay, and he created JavaScript actually back in 1995. This is Brendan Eich. He is an American computer programmer. Okay, so yeah, he created the JavaScript programming language and even co-founded the Mozilla project for the Mozilla Foundation. That's just so you know who Brendan Eich is, and if anyone ever talks about him, you know that he's the guy who created JavaScript, right? And this happened in 1995, and he created JavaScript as a scripting language for web browsers in particular. Okay, now The next question that you might have is JavaScript the same as Java? That's a very, very common question that anyone that is starting to learn JavaScript will have. In fact, when I was first starting, I also had that question, like, is Java the same as JavaScript? And well, the answer is no. They are totally different programming languages. You could say that JavaScript is actually executed in a web browser, or also JavaScript could be executed in a runtime environment like Node.js, but Java is not. It's not the same. I'm not going to get into the details of what are the specific differences between Java and JavaScript, but all I want to tell you is that they are not the same thing. We can put it like this. JavaScript is English and Java is Spanish. They both have nothing to do. If you speak English, you don't speak Spanish. If you speak Spanish, you don't speak English. Sometimes you can become bilingual if you learn both of them. But just this is the way of me explaining you. They're not the same thing. They're just different languages, okay? So just to clear that doubt, JavaScript is not the same as Java. They are separate programming languages, and they have different grammar, different rules, different structures or syntax. So just to clarify that question, the answer is no, they are not the same. Okay, so the next thing that you probably have heard when starting to learn JavaScript is ES6 or ES5. What is ES6? That sounds like something tricky, you might ask yourself. Or what is ECMAScript? You know, like everybody mentions that on JavaScript, but you don't really know what it is. So I am going to clarify that doubt as of right now. Okay, so let's go to MDN. If you go to MDN, to the main site of MDN will be here, the developer.mozilla.org. Right? Then you're going to jump into references and you're going to go to where it says JavaScript. Okay, that's the first thing that I want you to do. And here, if you scroll a little bit down, you will see the standards for JavaScript are ECMAScript. Now, what specifically is ECMAScript? So ECMAScript, I can say that this is an organization that creates a set of rules to actually implement new features for JavaScript. And they don't necessarily just do it for JavaScript with ECMAScript. They create like standards for different type of technologies. They can even build standards for a microwave, a computer, a sound system. They do a lot of standards. They create a lot of things from scratch when it comes to standards, right? And the way, that things will work. They explain real well that. So just keep in mind that this ECMA is an organization that dedicates to create standards for different technologies. In the case of JavaScript in particular, they have a language specification, as you read here, and that language specification is called ECMAScript. Now, they also have another one that it's called ECMAScript International API specification. That's what it's ECMA 402. And the main language specification, it's called ECMA 262. That's just for you to know. Now here I have open on the web an example in what ECMA is, because each time that they add a new feature, that's a new version of ECMA. That's where ES6 come from. ES6 is actually the ECMA 2015 version. The actual features that happened in 2015, that's like, we could say the 2015 update, ES6. They also have created some other versions afterwards, but they stopped naming them ES5, ES6. Now they just use a year, like ES 2016, ES 2017, ES 2018. In fact, let me show you the latest version. They just updated and posted last year. If you go here, the link is 262.ecma/ I can put this on the comment section, well, actually in the description box below, so that you can just simply click on it. But this is the 13th edition and it's called ECMAScript 2022. You see, they don't use any longer ES6, ES5, ES whatever. They are only using now ECMAScript 2022. This is the language specification. So this is the latest one, and it was launched on June of 2022. Now they also have a draft already here. ECMA International has a draft already for 2023. In fact, you see it says here draft is not official yet. Believe last date it was updated, it was on February 23rd this year. So this is just a draft. It hasn't been officially posted. If you want to check out the latest edition, is the 13th edition for ECMA 2022. And so on and so forth. If you want to check latest, oldest version, you can go ahead and do so. Here is one for 2019. And you can get all of this by simply clicking here on MDN, this link right here. If you click on it, you will get the draft of February 2023. You can also go to their website. It's ECMA, I think it's ECMA International. Yeah, so you can Google it up. You can put ECMA, oh, there it is, ECMAinternational.org. You see? That's how you type this in here. And then you will get this webpage, ECMA International. You will find something, they have committees in here. And this is just a group of people, and I'm going to talk about that real quick here. But this is a group of people that is the one in charge of certain standards for each certification or each standards they have. I'm sorry, not certification. So if you go into the main website, you go to publications and standards, you can click here under standards. And once you're in that page, you can click Control F or Command F, and you can search for 262, which is the ECMA version or specification for JavaScript. You see it says ECMAScript 2022. That's the latest version. If I click on it, I already have it here. Is this one, but if I click on it, it'll take me to this page right here, and I can simply download the standard if I want to have it downloaded, or I can view it in HTML. I typically just click view it in HTML, and I'll get the same information that I have on this website that I already had it open. If you can read here, I mean, it gives you all the process and how this language should work. You will see this is here they talk about the specification, they talk about the source tag, lexical grammar, expressions, statements, functions, and classes. I mean, there is a lot involved in creating this standard, and the people that create this standard, it's the committee TC39. You see this TC39? That's what the committee is called. So this is a group of people that they are in charge to come up with yearly new features or updates to the actual ECMAScript standard. So I hope all of this makes sense, but if still you have questions about this, you can drop your questions in the comment section below, and I will get you back and reply as soon as I can. Okay, so that's what ECMA is. I hope that so far you're clear with, if you're new to all of this, you're clear with all this new information, with all these concepts, and you know, so far that we are going clear up here to start with JavaScript. Now, there is another thing that I do want to talk about, and that many people ask themselves, and it's that if JavaScript is a server-side or a client-side language. So the answer is that JavaScript can be both, either server-side or client-side. Okay, so let me give you the difference between client-side versus server-side. We could say that client-side JavaScript is code. It's a code basically that is executed in a user's browser, okay, in the main browser itself, where server-side JavaScript is code that is actually executed on a server before being actually sent to the client's web browser. Okay, so client side, we could say that it's front end, and server side is back end. If you know both of them, then you are coming to the path of full stack, right? Which is a full stack web developer. So front end developers will do mainly client side, and back end developers will use server side. Okay, so server side is the things or the code that is going on that the user doesn't see, right? And then client side is all the interactions that the user do and they can see. With client side, you can manipulate HTML, you can manipulate CSS in the user's browser, right? And you can even use frameworks like React. You can use Angular. You can use jQuery. And I am pretty sure that some of you have heard of these frameworks before because they are requested in certain job descriptions. When you want to apply to become a front-end developer, probably one of those 3 frameworks will pop up. And that will be a requirement for a front-end developer. Probably I'm going to make some courses for frameworks later on, but well, so far right now we are moving on JavaScript. Now, the server-side JavaScript include tasks like, let's say, databases. On the server side, they work with databases. They work with processing data and even generating HTML templates. Examples of JavaScript frameworks that can be used in the server side will be platforms or frameworks, and actually platforms like Node.js or Express. Those are just 2 examples that I can think of as of now. So, in other words, again, client side is what the clients see and server side is what they don't see, but it's actually happening, and it's very, very important for a website to run. Okay, and JavaScript can be used for both. So hope that makes sense. And that's actually the last piece of information that I wanted to share in today's episode with you, because I believe that those are the most frequently asked questions that a beginner developer in JavaScript will have. When I was starting my journey, I was same like you, starting to learn and gather information and data out there. And I used to have these questions. They might seem dumb for some people, but for me, they're not. Actually, there's no dumb questions, just the ones that we do not ask, right? Because it's worse to stay with that doubt inside of yourself, and not actually ask that questions and always just be wondering whether if it's true or not something, than just rather asking, like, hey dude, like, what's this, So, well, I hope that this episode, when it comes to basic info for JavaScript and terminology, has been very useful for you. I hope that I have answered the main questions that you might have when you're starting to learn JavaScript. If I have and you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, it'll be very helpful if you click that subscribe button. Okay, so that's it for today, everybody. If you have questions, leave them in the comment section below. I will reply as soon as I can. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everybody, and see you again in the next episode.